What is up, guys? Samoan Fan 101 here, and it has been a while since I have done one of these audio videos. I believe the last audio video I did was the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. Now, for those of you who didn't see it, why not Fastlane, which took place after Elimination Chamber? Well, that's because I was sicker than dog shit around that time. I got really sick. The weather changed. Apparently, I get allergies when there's extreme weather changes. So when it goes from a nice, sunny day environment, all of a sudden it's dark and cold, or it goes from, let's say, snowy, wintry to 100-degree weather. Let's just say that does something to me, and I get sick pretty easily from it. I don't know why. It only started happening when I moved out here to Arizona 5 years ago, a little over 5 years ago. But, shit happens. But anyway, for the most part, I'm like 95% that better. It's like a little still there, but that's why if you look at my Fastlane video, it's the same as all my other edited together videos that I've done recently with all my past reviews. Now, before I continue with what I want to talk about, I just want to let you guys know, in terms of catching up on a lot of the shows that I've been reviewing, because I've been reviewing a lot of shows lately. I took a little break after the G1 Climax and the WCPW World Cup. You can tell my reviews haven't been as consistent. It's because, let's face it, as great as the wrestling has been on both shows, mainly the G1, it takes a lot out of you, so I had to give myself a breather, Also, I've been, trying to look for a job. Hang on a second. I'm the dirt spot on the computer here. Oh, that sucks. You probably saw me block out the camera. I didn't mean to do that. But yeah, I just want to let you guys know I've caught up on a lot of my shows. I'm at 6 pages, although let's face it, the reason why it's only 6, I use Google Docs pages to keep an eye on my results and everything, and the shows, order I do them. The only reason why it's even at 6 is because of the WrestleMania and Takeover New Orleans shows. Probably asking yourself, why not Supercard of Honor? Well, I'm going to get to that when I catch up on the other Ring of Honor shows. I don't want to, cause any confusion. So that's why I'm doing it like this. So really I'm at 5 pages when you take away Takeover and WrestleMania 34. I only have, I even counted it up. I have 7 more shows to watch through the rest of 2017, which was last year, of course. Although, to be fair, 4 of the shows are Ring of Honor hosted shows, working with New Japan. They're the Global Wars shows, and there's 4 of them, one right after another, literally a day after a day. It's 10/12, 2017, then 10/13, October 13, I should say. October 14th, October 15th, and then I only got a couple shows left, which was the Power Struggle show, Final Battle, and the We Are Defiant show. I will be watching I was about to say loaded, the Defiant Wrestling TV show, but considering they haven't released weekly as much after their latest show, which was March 24th, I think. Let me check. March 20th, actually. I can watch the weekly TV from there. That I want to see, certain guys like Travis Banks. So that's just my quick update on that. With all that being said, time to talk about what I wanted to start this video on. Really, I'm sorry it's taking me already 4 minutes to do so. Already, NXT Takeover New Orleans. I have watched several shows. I have watched several matches from the other shows. I watched Impact Wrestling versus Lucha Underground. I watched the Ishii versus God, I'm already forgetting the name of was it Zack Sabre Jr.? Yeah, I'm thinking of Matt Riddle. I don't know why. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Tomohiro Ishii, which was great, of course. But in terms of overall show, if I had to name what was the best show this weekend, far and away, the best show this weekend was Takeover New Orleans. By far. And you'll know by the rating I give it. And I will even though I usually leave my ratings for the matches and stuff down below in the description box. I'm gonna tell my ratings here because that's how freaking awesome this show was. This is one of the best shows I've ever seen. One of the best wrestling shows ever. And I don't say that lightly. So we started out. Actually, we started out the show with a nice little rock band single. What they did was they, of course they had a tape overlooking, what was going to happen in the show. But as the show was starting, we had the main band coming in, and I'm sorry, I just saw something coming in, and basically putting on a performance. And you know what? Unlike, say, the performances in the past of in WrestleMania, like all of a sudden in the middle of a show, there's like a concert from insert popular star here, like I'm just gonna throw a name out there, Big Sean or something like that. They just put them on a performance. There's a reason why a lot of people, mainly people who are watching on TV, hate that shit. Because we didn't come on the wrestling show to see a fucking pop performance. For example, I'm pretty sure that nobody's gonna turn on WrestleMania to watch Taylor Swift sing whatever fucking song she's singing nowadays. As you can tell, I'm not exactly the biggest Taylor Swift fan. But no. They had, what they did here is to get people hyped for the show, they had a rock band live performance. And it also played during the promo video package to get the people hyped for the matches. So it actually served a purpose. Triple H should be running WWE by now. I don't know why he isn't. Actually, I do. It's because the old Irish madman is, well, insane, to say the least. But I digress. I must love hearing the sound of my own voice because I just like going on rants. So we started out the match. There was only 5 matches on this show, and I really hope this video does not go an hour long. I'll bet you my WrestleMania show will. NXT, the NXT North American Championship. Well, first of all, I gotta say this. That belt is actually a very good-looking belt. I love the North American belt. I love all the belts in NXT, or at least that are NXT-based. The UK Championship belt, the North American Championship. I do like the women's, and I do like how the women's title belt and the NXT belt. I like how how they both look similar, but there are minor distinct differences. But, they're trying to pit them on kind of like the same level to each other. And I actually really liked that here. But what I really, and the UK belt, of course, how could I forget the good old UK belt. Is there any other, the tag team belts, how could I forget? The tag team belts, they look good, and they're actually, in terms of like the name NXT, they're the ones that actually pop out the most in terms of just the logo. But that also gives them a little bit of a showing off, I guess. But yeah, I only say this because all the belts on the main roster, after looking at a video earlier today, all the belts look the same. The WWE Championship, Universal Championship, both women's belts, the tag belts look the same to each other. At one point, they at least had a different color in which one was bronze and one was silver. Now they're both silver with different colored straps. The only belts that have any real significant difference toward each other are the Intercontinental Championship, the United States Championship, and the Cruiserweight Championship. Those are the only ones that have their distinct design. Except for, those 3 as an exception, every other belt looks the same. And for one belt that doesn't look like the others, they look the same as the opposite brand's belts. Yeah. So, I just wanted to get that out there. And then the championship wasn't contested in a singles match or even a triple threat match. It was a 6-man ladder match to determine the first ever NXT North American champion, we had Adam Cole, Velveteen Dream, Killian Dane, Lars Sullivan, and the first ever I can't say first ever match, at least for one of the guys. The match debut of EC3. He did make a debut the week earlier on NXT. Well, technically it was 3 or 4 days earlier, but you know what I mean. Or maybe it was like but he appeared on NXT TV at least once before, and so did Ricochet. But Ricochet did actually work a match at the NXT tapings at Center Stage in Georgia. So technically it's not his first match, but his first televised match, yes. I guess they just didn't want to spoil his debut on TV, which makes sense. But you know, I digress. So EC3, Velveteen Dream, Adam Cole, Ricochet, Killian Dane, Lars Sullivan. First of all, I gotta say this. What the hell was Velveteen Dream wearing? I must know this answer. Second, I like the music of both EC3 and Ricochet, although admittedly I do actually miss EC3's TNA music. I just got so used to that theme. I mean, that's been his theme for close to 5 years now. I mean, not exactly 5, really more 4.5, but you get what I mean. Ricochet, I actually really liked his song, and I really liked his entrance. It's not as flashy or as rock star-ish or as big as, say, Finn Balor or Bobby Roode or Shinsuke Nakamura or, you know, some of the other guys. Ricochet had a very nice entrance. I really like the entrance, and I like his music. Which, I gotta say, I don't think I've ever really heard a good Ricochet theme song. I might be wrong. Keep in mind, I don't watch a lot of Ricochet on the indies. I've just seen his matches. I pretty much skip the entrances. Gotta keep my throat from dying out here. Match it. Yeah, hang on. We got a grandmother clock. If you're familiar with grandfather clocks, well, just picture a grandfather clock just smaller, and then that's a grandmother clock. Chimes every hour, although I think it's like although it seems to be like a 30 seconds to a minute off every single time it chimes, so what can you do? What I really loved about this match, now, just to say this right now, ladder match, second best match of the night. And I'll give my rating after I give my overall thoughts. I thought this match was absolutely fantastic. If it wasn't for the main event, this match would have stolen the entire weekend. With the ladder match at Supercard of Honor, which I actually did watch, that ladder match. Amazing that match was, being a close second. But, you know, it's funny, both shows were taking place at the same time, on the same day, and both of them had ladder matches. Ironically enough, that ended up being the best match on that show, from what I heard. But, this match was fucking amazing. It was awesome. Every star got a chance to shine. Even Killian Dane and Lars Sullivan. Now, you could say Killian Dane, yes, he got a chance to shine, because, you know, we've seen Killian Dane do some, you know, some really good shit. Not just in, I mean, we got to see him work some pretty damn good matches in WCPW, which I have reviewed the matches that he was Big Damo back then. But, you know, we've seen him do a friggin' coast to coast, in WWE. Not a lot of guys the size of Killian Dane can do that, and yeah, he can do it. Lars Sullivan, though, also, you could say Lars Sullivan out of everyone is the most green in the match. Even so, he got a chance to shine. Everyone got a chance to shine here. Or even if not really a chance to shine, they got all their moves in. They got moments. I can't tell you how many great moments there was. Ricochet, of course, was probably the star of this match. Hang on a second, the phone's ringing. Sorry guys, that was a stupid advertisement call. Just aside, don't you guys hate advertisement calls? All they do is waste your time and half the time want to drain you of your money for no real reason or no real goal in mind. I personally hate them. But anyway, back to the match. Ricochet, as I was saying, star of this match. Everyone got a chance to shine, but Ricochet was clearly the star of this match. Everybody loved Ricochet. Chants of Ricochet, permeated this match. And, you had what I really liked about this match, and I didn't notice this until I saw some of the reviews, but I had to agree. You had different kind of wrestlers for this match. You had the two big monsters, in Killian, Dane, and Lars Sullivan. You had the up-and-coming star in Velveteen Dream. You had a high flyer in Ricochet. You had a returning star, who's also a pretty damn good wrestler himself, EC3. And, a guy who's clearly for the most part, a top guy in NXT, and is also an indie darling himself, in Adam Cole. Yet, and each one of them are very different kind of wrestlers. Even Killian, Dane, and Lars Sullivan, even though they're both monsters, they're different kind of monsters. Lars Sullivan is a guy, he's the stereotypical looking monster, but he can actually work a little bit. Killian Dane is the monster that can move. He's the monster he's like the Matanza of NXT. And that is a compliment. Is he as good as Jeff Cobb? I don't know. I mean, this match was freaking awesome. I can't tell you how many spots there were. I can name some. Like EC3 did the TKO off the middle of the ladder onto Adam Cole. They didn't call it TK3, which is what it was called in TNA. I don't know. There was a moment when Ricochet was on a ladder. Lars Sullivan tipped it over, and instead of just falling backward, Ricochet hit a moonsault off the ladder onto some of the guys on the floor. There was several spots where Velveteen Dream went absolutely nuts, and it's funny, he worked. I mean, he was pretty damn good. I mean, there was two spots he was a part of. One was when he was on a ladder. It was like a ladder bridge connected to one of the standing ladders in the ring. He was connected to the corner. And he did his Death Valley driver spot onto Ricochet on the ladder bridge. Which probably had to suck for Ricochet, but man, that was awesome. And back to the other spot I was talking about. He went freaking elbow crazy. I mean, this is Randy Savage straight out of WrestleMania 7 in his match against the Ultimate Warrior, where he went up top and hit elbows on almost everybody in sight. And I gotta admit, the last few times we've seen him do the elbow drops, they haven't been terrible, but they haven't been that good looking compared to the regular quality of top rope elbow. Because I gotta say, Velveteen Dream has a very good looking top rope elbow drop. Not in this match. In this match, he pretty much put those previous elbow drops to shame, including a spot where he stood on the top of a very tall ladder and did an elbow drop onto, I think it was Lars Sullivan. And that spot was very awesome. There was another spot where Ricochet did a shooting star press onto one of the guys in the match. I forget who it was, but I think they may have actually been on a ladder, which is why I bring that up. Just a quick notice. I don't know if I haven't been watching too much indie stuff because I've been catching up on the shows, but tell me in the comments below, has Ricochet stopped using the 630 splash as a finisher? Because he did that move in Lucha Underground. That was his main finisher in Lucha Underground. And I recall seeing him when they briefly played that vignette of his taped match at center stage. I recall him doing a 630 splash. So can you tell me whether or not that's still his finisher? Because I've noticed in some of the matches I saw of him in WCPW and New Japan, he's been mainly using the shooting star press as his finisher, not his 630 splash. So just give me a heads up if you can. There was another spot when so what happened was there were at different points of the match, pretty much one right after another. There was a ladder bridge set up between the ring and either the announce table or the crowd or whatever you want to call it. It's probably just the other announce table, if I had to guess. Yeah, it was the other announce table. And on one of them, Killian Dane had Adam Cole laying prone on one of the ladder. And, I think he laid Velveteen Dream on the ladder. And Adam Cole was, he gave him the Freak of Nature through the ladder onto the Dream. And that also kind of took out Dane as well. I guess, big move, right? Well, he wasn't the only one. Lars, what? I keep saying Killian Dane. Lars Sullivan did the Freak of Nature. God. One's bald and one has a ton of hair. I should know this. But no. Killian Dane, he did, and you could tell he didn't completely rotate the person, because he had, I think he had Ricochet on the ladder laying prone, and he had, or maybe it was EC3, but either one, I think it was Ricochet. He was on the ladder, and he picked up EC3, and he was going to basically give him a sit-out Michinoku driver through the ladder, and the ladder would break. And both ladders broke in half, by the way, when the Monsters did this. So with that, but he didn't completely rotate whoever Dane was carrying, so it kind of just looked like he did like an ass splash onto the guy on the ladder, and the guy that he was holding to, who didn't really fully rotate, just kind of had to sell it like he did take it. I mean, it was great. It was a great looking spot. I mean, you can tell, like, it wasn't didn't rotate as much. I guess if there was anything about this match I could rip on, it was that. And really, if that's the only thing I could rip on, then that means there's really nothing to rip on. The finish of this match... Damn it. The finish of this match had Ricochet on top of the ladder, but Adam Cole, I think, either tipped it over or gave him a super kick. Either way, Adam Cole got him off the ladder. He went up and got the championship and won the match. This match was fucking amazing. It was one of the longest opening matches to a takeover. I think it may have actually been the longest. Went over 30 minutes, actually. I was surprised how long it went. Adam Cole won. Honestly, I wasn't expecting Adam Cole to win. I mean, I wasn't expecting Dane. I was really not expecting either Dane or Sullivan to win. I was expecting, okay, the winners are going to be either Ricochet, EC3, or Velveteen Dream. Because Velveteen Dream could really benefit from a mid-card title. Adam Cole didn't need the mid-card title. He could go for the top title, probably against Aleister Black. If not win it, then at least go up against him for it. But with, that's what I thought. But Adam Cole won, which means they're probably going to have, Aleister Black, I'll get to him later, face other people later on. I'll get to why I say Aleister Black. I give this match 4 3/4 stars. Close to a 5-star, not quite 5, but this match was fucking awesome. And it would have been the show stealer if not for the main event. Next up, we had the NXT Women's Championship match. It was champion Ember Moon defending against Shayna Baszler. This was a way better match than when we saw it at Takeover Philadelphia. Takeover Philadelphia, they had a good match, but there were some people, even I felt this a little bit, that I felt like it was underwhelming considering their performances. Baszler's performances in the Mae Young Classic, and Ember Moon's performances against Asuka. You would think that, okay, these guys would have had a better match, and they didn't. They did here. I wouldn't say they had a great match. I actually gave this match 3 3/4 star, but they had a very good match here. Shayna Baszler, I heard this. Shayna Baszler apparently had been getting a little bit of shit from some of the fans, saying they were labeling her as Ronda's friend, and that she would never get any credit during her run, and she's only there because she's Ronda Rousey's buddy. And look, part of that's probably true. They keep mentioning the other 4 horsewomen. I know one of them was Roderick Strong's wife. I know that. But there was another one who I have absolutely no idea about. I keep forgetting her name. There's Roddy's wife, Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler, and this other chick who I can't even be bothered to remember her name right now. But, you know, like, you could say it's partly true. But is that the whole reason? No. I think Shayna Baszler got in on her own. Did it help her get to the door? Absolutely. But Shayna, but, you know, even with that, but that's like saying Randy Orton is only in WWE because, you know, he's Bob Orton's son. And look, that's true. He got an easy ticket into WWE. He was basically protected and babied, in a way, in WWE in his early years. He got the easy tickets that not many other people got at all. But, you know, to Orton's credit, he became a pretty damn good wrestler because of it. You know, maybe not, you know, especially when he's motivated. He can have some pretty great matches. So, but, you know, Baszler, you know, very much the same way. She can have some pretty good matches, especially when she's motivated. And here, she must have been motivated, because they had a very good match. Ember Moon, Shayna Baszler had a very good match. Early on, Baszler tried to do that stomp on Moon's elbow, you know, dislocating it or breaking it or whatever, like they did in their last match. Instead, Moon got out of the way, turned the tide on Baszler, and then did the stomp to Baszler's arm. And that arm throughout the rest of the match had been a key point of damage for some of the things either she couldn't do or just simply couldn't do as well as she would have. There was another spot where Ember Moon, she did an eclipse to the floor, which was just awesome. There was a point, I think actually it was right before the eclipse spot to the floor, when Baszler, what she did was, because I think she tripped up Moon on the top rope, probably going for an eclipse, Moon was. Baszler went out to the post, and to kind of pop her shoulder back in, so that way it could have a little bit of motion, Baszler basically hit her arm. She basically took the pole and then just shoved it into her arm against the post. I've never seen that before. That was just crazy. I mean, wow. I didn't see that coming. And she did it twice. She didn't just do it once. She did it twice. And now the finish came, and I have to admit, I really enjoyed the finish. It was a very nice finish. Ember Moon went for an eclipse in the ring, because she basically had Shayna on the ropes. Not literally. But, you know, figuratively, she had her on the ropes. She went for the eclipse. Ember Moon caught her, went for the chokehold. I forget what she calls it. I know there's a name for it. I don't know why. I was thinking Fujiwara armbar. Definitely not the Fujiwara armbar. But she went for a choke, which usually she does both hands, but, you know, in this case, she did one hand. Well, after a moment, she did one hand, because Moon tried to expose her left arm. That was the one that ended up getting ravaged by Moon earlier in the match, by the way. She went for the, she instead pretty much did a one-armed choke, keeping her legs strong, kind of using her left arm, but not really. So Moon battled for like a minute or two to try to get out of the chokehold. Baszler rolled her back in the middle of the ring during that time. As Moon tried to get Baszler pinned again, like similar to how she did at Takeover Philadelphia. That didn't work. Moon eventually passed out, and Baszler won the championship by ref stoppage because, you know, she was knocked out. Now, on one hand, it sucks to see Ember Moon's title reign come to an end. But on the other hand, considering what they did with her two nights later, you know, that's what she, it was good for her. And honestly, it was the right move to put the title on Baszler, because Ember Moon had spent about, like a year or two in NXT already by this point. She deserved her chance to shine, on the main roster. And you can at least say she was at least NXT Women's Champion. I would have been pissed if they never gave her the championship and instead just shot the title right to Kairi Sane because she won the Mae Young Classic. Thankfully, they didn't do that. And there was a reason, by the way, guys, I waited this long to review both shows, because I wanted to sleep on the results. Because remember, I was going through a high throughout the weekend, especially in WrestleMania. Not so much on Takeover, but I did rewatch the women's match and the tag team match just to finalize my ratings. And I did have to revise. I revised both of them actually. But WrestleMania up and down, I had to rewatch certain matches that I wasn't sure on. And I did definitely change the ratings throughout the show. So there was that. That's the reason why I waited so long to review this. Was because I wanted to wait and try to okay, don't review it immediately because a lot of your ratings are probably going to be wrong. So let's do that. So that's exactly what I did. And you know what? If it makes for a better review, I'll take it. Here's the Tag Team Championship match. It was also the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic Finals, because the finals was ruined by the Undisputed Era the week or so before on NXT. I think it was the week before. You had the Undisputed Era, which was Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly. Bobby Fish was out injured. Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly, by the way, and I noticed this in one of the reviews, they were actually a team. Before O'Reilly and Fish became a team, O'Reilly was a team with Adam Cole called Future Shock. In fact, I believe they were Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions, if I recall. So basically, it was the return of Future Shock against the Authors of Pain and the team of Pete Dunne, Roderick Strong. Now, let me get this out of the way. In terms of all the matches on the show, this was the lowest of quality. I give this match 3 1/2 stars because this was a pretty damn good match. It only went about a little over 10 minutes, but even with that said, these guys, this was a wild match. It kind of slowed down in the middle of it, but the match pretty much was on fire from beginning to end. And I liked how even though Pete Dunne and Roger Strong were not a regular team, they definitely felt like one. I mean, I don't know what. Maybe if they became a full-time team, I probably would have called them team of strong style, like Team Strong Style or something like that. Because Pete Dunne goes in there and kicks your ass, and Roderick Strong's name is Roderick really has the name Strong in the title, so like Team Strong Style or something like that. I think it would have been good, or something similar to that effect. But apparently that was a moot point because of what happened at the end of the match. But there was a lot of great fire here. By the way, because Adam Cole came out with the North American Championship belt, he was taken out pretty early in the match after a double powerbomb by the Authors of Pain through one of the announce tables. So that pretty much took him out of the match, and Kyle O'Reilly was basically wrestling a tag team match by himself. And Kyle O'Reilly, I had to choose a guy who definitely shined in this match. It was Kyle O'Reilly. Because, he did certain things that other guys didn't. There was a moment when he had one of the members of Authors of, I think actually no, maybe Roderick Strong. He had Roderick Strong in the submission, but then he caught one of the Authors of Pain's foots and got him in an ankle lock from the floor. That's pretty really on his back on the mat in the ring, but you know what I mean. So we come to near the end of the match. For the most part, it's just the Authors of Pain and the team of Dunne and Strong. There was a moment when Roddy did a move. He did his like a backcracker into a slam. Not a backcracker, but he did kind of like the old CM knee to the face in the corner, and did his slam move where he kind of just slams him down. But at the same time, Dunne kind of put that into the bitter end. Not entirely a bitter end, but, very similar. Authors of Pain broke it up. One of the members of Authors of Pain, I forget whom, I think it was Akam, actually. He was sent to the floor by Roderick Strong, was rammed into the steel steps. Then, Pete Dunne made sure to take out Kyle O'Reilly. Had a little bit of a back and forth for about 20 seconds or so, which was actually kind of fun to watch. Then he gave one of the other member of the Authors of Pain a bitter end, which was actually pretty cool to look at. But then Roderick Strong came in and broke up the pin. And on top of that, hit the end of Heartache onto Pete Dunne. Pulled Kyle O'Reilly's body over pulled Kyle O'Reilly over Pete Dunne's lying carcass, and the Undisputed Era Undisputed Era retained the tag team championships. Adam Cole by this point came back in the ring. Both Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly were shocked as hell. Roderick Strong walked over them, looked like he was actually going to punch him in the face or something like that. But then he grabbed Adam Cole's arm, took off the Undisputed Era armband, and put it on his own arm. Adam Cole had this giant smile on his face. O'Reilly was still shocked, but after a moment was very, very happy. I like this. I like this for one reason. First of all, Strong wasn't going anywhere. I mean, he wasn't going to be NXT champion. That clearly was going to be Aleister Black, as it turned out. Spoiler. He wasn't. He could have been North American Championship. Championship. He could have been North American champion. And I liked how, the way they portrayed it in this match. O'Reilly and Cole didn't know that Roderick Strong was going to turn on his partner. They thought, he was against him. But instead, they were surprised, and but they allowed him to join. And because remember, the first thing Undisputed Era came in to do, well, first they came in and I think they beat up Drew McIntyre after his win against Bobby Roode at TakeOver Brooklyn last year. But then on TV, they offered Roderick Strong a place in Undisputed Era because they were all buddies in Ring of Honor. Now, they didn't actually say Ring of Honor, but that's basically basically was the reason. And now things have seemingly come back full circle with Roderick Strong eventually joining him. And honestly, it's the best thing for Strong because he wasn't doing anything. I liked the tag team with Pete Dunne, but it was a thrown-together tag tean, and you knew it probably wasn't going to last too long. I didn't think he was going to turn heel, but you knew it wasn't going to last long. I liked that they did this, because now it gives him a place. He's probably in line to beat Pete Dunne for the UK Championship at some point, so that way Undisputed Era can hold more gold. And when Fish comes back, basically everybody on that faction will be holding a belt. The gold crazy for Undisputed Era. So I like that. This was a 3.5-star match. A lot happened, and more importantly, it had the right finish, as it turned out. Next was NXT champion Andrade Cien Almas defending against Aleister Black. This match here was a fantastic match. Andrade Cien Almas is awesome. I mean, it's funny. You go back to when Andrade Cien Almas debuted at the WrestleMania weekend show 2 years ago. 2 years ago, he wrestled in his first match in NXT on the weekend show. I think I was TakeOver Dallas, and he beat Ty Dillinger. Even though he looked good, people said the person who actually stole the match was Ty Dillinger. And then you go back to, but there was no buzz around it. He came in as a babyface. He came in with the stupid fedora and the straps on his arms, and it just didn't look right for him at all. And then what happened? He was going downhill. He eventually turned heel, which gave him a little bit of a buzz, but then they didn't do anything with him. He was just a guy on the roster. He was quickly becoming the next Solomon Crow, in which the guy, for whatever reason, just wasn't clicking. Either because of the shitty gimmick they did with him, or whatever plans they had for him fell through. And what happened there? Solomon Crow left. He became Jeremiah Crane in Lucha Underground and kicked a lot of ass and was a great wrestler. Same thing in Impact Wrestling now. Now that he has this buzz, at least, even though it came from a complete accident, he has this buzz with Impact going on with Eddie Edwards, stemming from a real-life accidental injury that honestly could have blinded Eddie Edwards. I think it was his left eye. Maybe in his right eye. I don't know. I think it was his right eye. But you look at that match, and you say to yourself, but you look at that match. But you look at the match from last year. That's what I was going to say. The match from last year. Last year's weekend takeover, WrestleMania weekend takeover show. That was Takeover Orlando. Aleister Black debuted against who else? Andrade Cien Almas. And back then, he was the floundering heel. Aleister Black kicked his ass. It was a decent match from what I remember, but it wasn't anything that special. It wasn't the fault of Black or Andrade. It was just how it was booked. Andrade was not a top guy back then. Then Zelina Vega, the former Thea Trinidad, Austin Aries' fiance, came in the picture, became his manager, and as well as his mouthpiece, and came in and went in there and basically turned this guy who was nothing more than a scrub heel into a top heel in NXT. He had the run with Johnny Gargano in summer last year. That was Takeover Brooklyn. Then he beat Drew McIntyre and accidentally injured him in a great match, by the way, at Takeover War Games. Then he beat Johnny Gargano in what many people, including myself, consider to be the best NXT match ever. At least up until tonight. I'm still debating. And then, of course, he goes in here and has one of the best matches of the night and one of the best matches of the weekend with Aleister Black. That is not an accident. These guys went out there and had a great match, and this is one of those matches that Zelina Vega interfered, by the way, on several different, like 3 or 4 different times she interfered. But it wasn't it chimes every 30 minutes, by the way, so, like, there's, like, the chime, what time it is, so, like, say, it's 7 o'clock, it chimes 7 times. But then every half an hour, it chimes once. I guess to remind you. I don't know. Anyway. But yeah, but her interference actually made sense. And it didn't take away from the match. There are many times when interference in the main roster hurts the match. This is not one of those times. This was one where it actually made sense. Because in the very end, it cost Andrade Cien Almas the match. There was a story, and there was a reason for that. It's why I didn't mind the interference at TakeOver in Philadelphia, because that told a story in which she was interfering several times. Eventually, Candice LeRae had enough of it, went in there, kicked her ass, and just beat her ass, and got her the hell out of there. So it made sense. Here was very similar, except this time it cost Andrade the title. I'll get to that. There were a lot of great spots. There were some great callback spots to the Gargano match, like Andrade getting his knees into the post against Aleister Black's face. The Tree of Woes double foot stomp spot to the outside of the ring on the apron. You know, that was nice. There was a lot of great... I can't really name the amount of great stuff that happened in this match. This wasn't a match that had too many great spots. It just did have great wrestling. I mean, there were several... there was a moment when Andrade had the black mass. Andrade got kicked with a black mass, I should say. But then Zelina Vega put his foot on the bottom rope. There was another spot which Andrade went for the Future Shock DDT. Not Future Shock DDT. That's the double underhook DDT, I should say. Oh, whatever. The DDT. I forget what kind of DDT it is. He went for his DDT move. Black countered. And I got him with another move. I don't know. Like I said, wasn't a match that had a lot of big spots. As it did, it just had fantastic wrestling. But man, and I gotta say, Andrade Cien Almas is one of the best Latin stars WWE has had in years, probably since Rey Mysterio. But one of the best Latin stars in years, and I know Vince McMahon, for whatever reason, really likes Alberto Del Rio. Speaking of which, I know I'm getting sidetracked, but I have to mention this. This clown, Alberto El Patron, what a fucking disgrace. He showed up, I think, like the day before or the day of to do the press conference with him and Austin Aries for the Redemption pay-per-view, which is only a couple weeks from now. It's on April 22nd. Today is April 11th, so like 11 days from now. And what happens? He's scheduled for a tag team match, and I mentioned this in my review. And if you looked at if you saw what I wrote, Andrade Cien Almas Alberto El Patron, for whatever reason, no-showed his main event match against, it was supposed to be him and Pentagon Jr., which for whatever reason, even though he was billed as Pentagon Jr. on the show, I don't know why. I love Melissa Santos to death. She's hot, but she called him out Pentagon Dark. I know that's his current name in Lucha Underground, but they bill him as Pentagon Jr. going into the show. Call him Pentagon Jr. I don't know why they did that. Anyway, it was supposed to be him and Pentagon against Phoenix and Austin Aries, who, of course, is the current Impact World Champion. He no-showed. I didn't know at the time why he no-showed. Maybe there was an accident. Maybe there was something with his flight. Maybe he was too busy. I don't know. Or maybe, something happened. I don't know. Apparently, from what I heard, Alberto El Patron just flaked on Impact Wrestling. And what happened? Impact Wrestling shit-canned him. I think El Patron actually was also supposed to attend another event, but that's 2 events that he missed. That he was scheduled for by Impact Wrestling. He was a no-show. I think he may have claimed he was sick. But then the Solid Monster, who was there in New Orleans, who was there for Takeover, for Raw, and for WrestleMania 34. Not in that order, of course. And El Patron was there, and he looked fine. So if he ever called in sick, complete horseshit that was. What a fucking disgrace, I gotta say. This clown, this joke, I know for whatever reason Vince likes El Patron. He saw El Patron as his next big Latin star, but of course, creative, was very shitty. They gave him the Mex America thing when he came back, which apparently was a Vince McMahon idea, and all that did was fuck over El Patron, because he came in, hotter than everyone else on the roster, and then a month or 2 later, he was a goddamn Ice Cube. But yeah, they flaked on this guy. I really hope they don't sign El Patron. Or if they do, have him go in there, get his ass kicked by Andrade, and then get shit canned. That's what I would do. But even then, this guy deserved to get fired by Impact. People said he should have been fired the first time. I could see why. Now, it's like, man, the things they try to do with you are in a main event 2 weeks from now. Do your fucking job. Show up when you're supposed to show up. Dumbass. So yeah, fuck El Patron. Andrade Cien Almas is WWE's next big Latin star. So, by the way, I gave this match 4.5 stars. Then we come to the main event. Let's see how much time I'm doing. We've got 48 minutes, so hopefully I can get this done in the next 5 or so minutes. The Unsanctioned Match. Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa. This match main evented the show, and it should have, because it had 2 of the hottest guys on the roster. Johnny Gargano, who's like the Daniel Bryan, Bret Hart amalgamation of NXT, and then Tommaso Ciampa, one of the only true heels in wrestling, because people, when he goes out there, he doesn't get cheered because he's a great wrestler. People boo his ass because he screwed over Johnny Gargano like 3 times. He attacked Johnny at the end of Takeover Chicago last year. Then he attacked Johnny again after his match with Almas at Takeover Philadelphia. And then he cost Johnny Gargano his job on NXT TV a few weeks later. So yeah, clearly people wanted to see Gargano go in there and beat Ciampa's ass. That's exactly what he did. Except that didn't happen for a good portion. The good first portion of this match was Tommaso Ciampa absolutely destroying Gargano. This guy beat the shit out of Gargano. And there was a lot, and by the way, there was a lot of big spots. in this match. Johnny Gargano, by the way, Tommaso Ciampa came up, by the way, still in his knee brace. I don't know if he needs that brace anymore, or if it was just a gimmick for this match. Because I don't know if he was actually fully able to come back, but if he was, you know, what a hell of a performance to come back to. This is by far the best Ciampa match I've ever seen, and I'm debating whether or not this match was the best Johnny Gargano match or second only to Andrade. And by the way, if it is better than the match with Andrade, then this match is the best NXT match ever. Hang on. There were a lot of great spots. Ciampa was in control for like the first good portion of this match. Gargano slowly but surely fought back. I mean, and made Ciampa come off as a great heel. The first thing he did that really got him booed was, I think what he did was he took the mat, some of the matting, off of the floor, which revealed concrete. And when it revealed concrete, I'm like, oh shit. Because I'm like, this guy just came back from injury. Johnny Gargano, he's a small guy. This guy could die. Or something like that. Thankfully, nobody died, but there was a spot with the concrete I'll get to. Ciampa, at one point, he stole this probably a planted fan. He was probably a plant in the crowd. But he stole this guy's crutches from him. You know, playing off the fact that he's been attacking Johnny Gargano with crutches, and in fact, a crutch was what cost Gargano the title and his job on NXT TV a few weeks after Takeover Philadelphia. Ciampa at one point, actually maybe Gargano, but either way, there was a suplex spot on the. It was on the. They were both on the announce table, and instead of suplexing him on the announce table. Suplex happened off the announce table onto the mat. That looked like it sucked. There was another spot in which Tommaso Ciampa was going to go for a move on the concrete. Johnny Gargano countered, and after a bit of trial and error, got and not in terms of like botching, but you know, just regular. Sorry. He basically hit a power bomb from the apron to Ciampa on the concrete. They replayed it several times, and I needed to see, did Ciampa hit the back of his head on the concrete? If he did, that must have sucked. After a couple replays, he didn't hit his head on the concrete. He probably tucked his head in as far as he could. I feared for his life. The crowd chanted, "You deserve it." I mean, damn. I mean, it was just amazing. Like, this is the one, "you deserve it," is usually used for when people win a championship or won a big match. Not for when a dude gets powerbombed on concrete. That's how hated Ciampa was and how loved Gargano is. Ciampa, at one point, took one of the crutches, went for several shots, and Gargano, he dodged each time. Instead, Gargano hit crutches on Ciampa. I think some of the last big spots of this match, and there was another spot I have to say. There was a spot with like a wrist tape. Ciampa had some wrist tape, wrapped it around Gargano, and for a while those two were linked together, literally. And of course, the story there was, of course, they were linked together at one point as good friends. There was even a callback near the end of the match to their match and their Cruiserweight Classic when both of them were sitting on the mat. And because they were friends, like, what the hell are we doing? But then Ciampa went for an attack and Gargano countered. But what, another thing this happened in this match, I think Gargano hit him with a crutch. He went to hit the long dart, because earlier in the match, I think Ciampa, or maybe it was Gargano, he revealed, or he got rid of one of the turnbuckle pads, hit the long dart on the exposed turnbuckle, middle turnbuckle, then hit his super kick, like his Gargano super kick. Ciampa kicked out. Ciampa, and another great spot in this match, hit a, because he does a move where he does a power bomb onto the onto the knees I forget what the move is called. Gargano kicked out. Later in the match, near the end, much closer to the end, Ciampa did the powerbomb onto his knees from the top rope. From the top turnbuckle rope. I thought that was the match. I thought that was the end of the match right there. And what happened? Gargano kicked out. Now, usually in some matches, there was this one spot where that has to be the match, and the finish that actually took place was kind of lame. This match didn't have that. This home stretch was just frigging amazing. That wasn't even the only spots. Those are just the ones that really stuck out to me. Again, there was the spot where Ciampa, they were both sitting on the mat or something, but then Ciampa attacked and Gargano got in the Gargano escape, I think. But actually no, I think that was the finish, because what happened was Gargano took one of the crutches, broke it in half, was about to hit Ciampa on the sharper end of it, I guess, but he couldn't bring himself to do it, because this guy was his friend. This guy, he can't do it. This guy traveled on the road with him. You were tag team champions together. He can't do this to Ciampa. And Gargano just, tried to attack him. It didn't work. And it didn't work because he couldn't do it. And then he sat down on the ground. And what I think what happened was, and by the way, I forgot. There was another spot I forgot to mention. I hate to interrupt myself, but there was another spot where Ciampa took off his knee brace. He used it as a weapon at one point. He went for his running knee, which by the way he did use earlier in the match. Johnny kicked out. He went for the running knee on his exposed knee. He took off he took off the knee pad. He took off his brace, but then Johnny hit him in the leg with the knee brace. That was pretty awesome. But the finish was Gargano sat down. Ciampa went for the attack. Johnny suckered him in. He locked in an STF, but instead of locking in the STF like normal, or how John Cena does it, which is terrible, he took the knee brace and he locked in the STF with the knee brace, and Ciampa tapped out. Johnny Gargano not only won, but he also won his job back. Because remember, the stipulation was that if Johnny won, he would get his job back. If he lost, he'd be banned from NXT forever. Never again would he ever show up. And I thought Ciampa was winning, and Johnny would just go to the main roster. But man, Gargano won? Apparently I must have been thinking like the main roster, as sadly it turned out. It's funny. I expected NXT to have the swerve and the weird finishes because they're so different from the main roster. Get the main roster, even though when they do stuff that supposedly is very predictable, and we could see it coming, but we also want it because it's obvious. They don't give it to us because apparently they don't like what's obvious. Because fuck us, I guess. I'll get into that in WrestleMania 34 review. I don't know about today, but I'll definitely get to it. Johnny Gargano celebrated with his wife Candice LeRae. The show ended. This show is fucking amazing. Just shy of an hour. The show was amazing. Best show of the night. Possibly the best show of the year. I think I actually may have given Wrestle Kingdom 12 this year a 10 out of 10. I may have. But you know what? This one, it either comes to a close second or it actually gets the number one. Usually Wrestle Kingdom becomes show of the year. This Takeover, far and away, is its best competitor. This show, and I don't say this lightly, this show, from me, gets a 10 out of 10 rating. You had a fucking excellent ladder match with great performances from everybody, including the debut of Ricochet and EC3. Big win for Adam Cole. You had a big win for Shayna Baszler, who won the championship and had several great moments in that match. You had a good tag team match with a great heel turn at the end, which pretty much turned Pete Dunne face. I want to see Pete Dunne get his revenge and kick Roddy's ass now. You had a great championship match with things coming full circle with both Andrade, Cien, Almas, and Aleister Black. And then you had Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa in quite possibly what could be the best NXT match ever. I'm debating whether or not it's actually better than the match with Andrade, but you know what? This might actually be the best NXT match ever. With that said, guys, this show gets a 10 out of 10 rating, 5 stars out of 5. Check it out. It's that fucking awesome. Until next time, guys, I'll see you next time with my WrestleMania 34 review. Until next time, guys, peace!